Our Wyopreps.com fan voted big school game of the week this week takes us to Casper as the top-ranked Sheridan Broncs will visit the third-ranked Natrona County Mustangs. And longtime Natrona head coach Steve Harshman joins me. And Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes with me. But talk about your team. 2-0 start. What have you seen from your group so far this season, Steve?
Well, yeah, David, thanks for having me and appreciate all your good work on behalf of Prep Sports in Wyoming. And tell you, I really like our guys. I just think it's a nice bunch of young men, really worked hard, I think, to, individually improve, but I think they've also, they're working hard on building a team. And I think that's a real challenge, every year to every coach in every sport. And so you gotta, but I think we're improving every day in practice. I like the way we're practicing. I think that's most important, and getting ourselves ready each week and kind of keep improving, day by day and week by week.
What has it been with your defense? I mean, you had a heck of a performance against Thunder Basin, followed that up with another terrific performance on the road to Rock Springs. What's been the key defensively, Steve?
Well, I think it's a team game, obviously, but I think a lot of defense is field position, obviously, and I think our special teams and our offense, for the most part, we've done a pretty nice job. We haven't had a turnover yet this year, and we haven't turned the ball over one time. Wrap on wood, but um, so I think protecting the ball and not putting our defense in a bad spot. The other thing I think defensively, we've just been really drilling fundamentals. I mean, it is make sure you align right, make sure your stance is good, make sure you know what you're doing and what your keys are. And then it's all about, every play, you're going to have somebody try to block you on defense, and you got to be able to just, block destruction and then run to the football, pursuit and good tackling. So we work those basic fundamentals, block destruction and pursuit and tackling every day. I mean, and really, and then, the rest of that part, lining up right and schemes and all those things will take care of itself. But you got to be able to do those fundamentals well. And I think our guys have, and we're got, pretty good depth. Most of our starters were returners at linebacker and DB, but I think we got pretty good depth at defensive line. We're playing a lot of kids there, about three full groups, rotating 12 guys in there.
Well, now comes calling the big dog Sheridan right now on a pretty good roll here in 4A football. What do you see when you see Coach Mowry's bunch?
Well, I think, real similar to years past. I think, they're really well coached and well disciplined team, and I think a solid group of team guys, And I think the Haswell kid, he's a junior this year, played a lot as a sophomore. His brother went to Wyoming on a full ride as an offensive lineman. He's a good football player. I think the two running backs, Crow and Way, are both very powerful. Done a nice job returning kicks, doing all that stuff. And then they've really their real full-time starter who's back is a kid on the offensive line, 65 Peldo. He's 285 pounds. He's the real deal. And so he kind of anchors them on both sides of the ball on their lines. But they've, got a nice group of skill kids and small skill, and they got a nice group of big skill guys. And playing a lot of them both ways, but they're in pretty good shape and they're doing a nice job.
Obviously, you don't want to be playing your best football now, Steve. That's something as you talk about all the time, improve week by week and play your best towards the end of the season. But in a game like this, obviously a little bit of a measuring stick will give you some answers to kind of find out where you are. What does a game like this come down to for your squad? What do you really
But
emphasize with them?
yeah, I think 4A football, all these games are important because of the seeding for the playoffs. And we all know home field advantage, I mean, particularly in the semifinals. And that's something we've been, the last 3, 4 years, we've struggled. We've been on the road in semifinals. And I was just like talking to our kids, there's two teams in Wyoming that have won over 600 games. It's Natrona County, who's won 632 games, Sheridan at 626. And if you look at the home and the away of these two teams, they're almost identical records. And so home field advantage is a big deal. But I think you're right. I mean, victory victory's not final, defeat's not fatal. So whatever happens this game, you got the 24-hour rule. We'll learn from it, however it turns out, and keep moving forward and keep getting better. Because you're absolutely right. We don't want to, we got a long ways to go, and this is a process to keep getting better and better and better, and more guys in the mix and all those kind of things.
Well, Steve, thanks so much for the time. I wish you best of luck Friday night against the Bronx.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
We continue talking about our fan voted Wyopreps Big School Game of the Week. It takes us to Casper, top ranked defending champion Sheridan Bronx on the road in Casper to face the third ranked Natrona County Mustangs, joined by Sheridan coach Jeff Mowry. And off to this 2-0 start here, Jeff. Let's start with what have you seen out of your team in 2 games so far this season?
Well, our kids after 2 days and those days of practice where we're pounding on each other for so long, our kids were really excited to get started and we had a fast start in South and our kids came out and executed cleanly at the beginning and didn't get as many reps as we'd have liked with our first teamers during that game, but got through that pretty injury free and then went into a good Thunder Basin team, played them last week at Natrona or at Thunder Basin and had a good 4-quarter matchup with them. And like we always have in our first week, we have some cramps at the end of the game, and so we had to deal with that. We had to get our guys into 4-quarter shape, but I was really pleased with the way the guys finished. We finished with the ball, had the opportunity if we get some first downs to run the clock out, and our guys really, really I thought battled tough, and we were able to run the ball and run the clock out and finish with the ball in our hands. So I like how we were in control at the finish of that game, and was really pleased with the guys' effort.
It seems like this is more of a team. I think you guys have always been a team in 3 different phases, but there's no necessarily big shining bright star like a Colson Kuhn or a Dane Steele. So what do you see when you see your squad this year, Jeff? How do you kind of characterize your bunch this year?
It's an awesome group of young men to work with. We got 17 seniors that have done a good job of becoming leaders within our program. We ask our seniors to do a lot beyond the game of football, and they've done a good job of being leaders, and we continue to push them to grow. That being said, we're still trying to identify where our strengths and weaknesses are. We are, really we've had 1 4-quarter game under our belt, and we're not sure exactly where our strengths or weaknesses will be. Our defense has shown up early and pitched a shutout against a very good Thunder Basin team, and so we're really pleased with that. Offensively, we threw the ball a lot more in the first half at Thunder Basin, and then really in the second half went to the run game and ended up with 300 yards rushing, which was really pleased with in that game. And so I'm not sure exactly where we're going to be yet. We're going to have to be able to open the box a little bit with the pass game, and so that we can run the ball. But maybe it'll morph into more passing. I'm not sure yet, but we've got a lot of guys that can touch the ball and a lot of guys with some speed, and so I'm excited about that. And then it may be a game to game decision. Whoever has the hot hand, let's get him the ball.
Talk about Natrona. What do you see out of Coach Harshman's bunch this year going into their Friday night?
Coach Harshman always has his teams ready to go. I think since 1991, I don't know how many coaches have ever went to Natrona and said, "Oh, this team's not ready to roll." Natrona is always ready to roll. And watching their first 2 games, against a Thunder Basin team that we played and against a Rock Springs team that looked to be really physical and got a big win against Central in week 1. Natrona owns the line of scrimmage. Physically, they've just beat their 2 opponents, and that's what I've seen is it's Natrona County football. They're going to run the ball, be very physical. Tom Grogan, their low line coach, does an excellent job with those guys up front, and defensively, their defensive line doesn't get moved, and so their linebackers are free, and you see their linebackers making a lot of tackles, and so it's going to be the typical Coach Harshman team, very well coached, very sound, very disciplined, and we're going to have to execute very cleanly to be able to make some plays against them.
So bottom line, kind of win or lose, and obviously I know you want to put your guys in position to win, but you're going to find out a lot, it sounds like, about yourself this week.
Yeah, this is a different schedule than we've had in years past. And we really, week 2, this last week we had Thunder Basin, we got Natrona this week and Cheyenne East next week. And those are the 3 teams in 4A back to back to back that have been in most of the semifinals in the last few years. And so we really got to focus on Coach Harshman and the Mustangs this week, going into a place that is very hard to win at. I think Sheridan's experienced a lot of wins in the last 17 years that I've been around. And I don't think we're above 500 at Natrona County Stadium. And so it's a tough place to play. And we are going to find out a lot about our guys. And we graduated a lot of seniors. We got 17 great ones now, but they're going to become really, really experienced after, this run of games.
Well, Jeff, thanks so much for the time. I wish you best luck Friday night in Casper.
Thanks, David.